Hello and welcome to the final episode of our 6-part series on the vital connection between employee experience and customer or guest experience, and the positive financial impact that any business can realise when they take the opportunity to invest in their most valuable asset, their people, or their brand ambassadors as we're calling them. So for the final time in this series, welcome to Marie Cross, the UK Queen of Customer Service. Hello to Adrianne Carter, body language expert extraordinaire, and to Julie Wren, global health and wellbeing coach, nutritional therapist and spa educator. So last week we looked at some of the challenges of developing brand ambassadorship on the front line, given that the multi-generational employee base that many of our clients have within their businesses, and the differing needs and wants of each generation in terms of how they want to represent their brand. So this week, my final question to you is this. What are some practical ways to create brand ambassadorship on our clients' front lines? And does it differ in terms of impact if you've got people serving others in a face-to-face setting versus over the telephone or even through the written or digital word?
So I'm going to say straight away, training to recognise body language, to recognise emotions, it will absolutely rocket their communication skills.
Yeah.
You know, if they can communicate well and confidently. Confidence is so engaging.
Yes.
Confidence isn't a cold emotion, it's a very warm emotion that people buy into. And that's what you want. You know, you want your team to feel confident.
Yeah.
When they feel confident, your customers, your clients, your guests, they'll feel confident in what they're being offered.
Yeah.
So for me, it's all about the training.
Yes.
And not a soft skill, but a vital skill.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Yeah, and I think that again, like we've been talking about over these episodes, we kind of need to go right back to the beginning, don't we? Because it does start from the recruitment and selection process.
Yes.
You know, just review your recruitment and selection process, your strategy, and make sure that you are actually recruiting for will and training for skill, that you are actually taking on the right people that you want to be representing your brand on the front line. And then when you've got that right, and you know that you've got the right bums on the right seats, then really review that whole induction process, that whole onboarding program. That of course they've got to have the knowledge, you know, the product knowledge, the systems, the processes. Of course they've got to know all of that. But actually, as we all know, unless they can communicate that effectively, which is where that vital skill needs to be in as an integral part of the induction process. So a very practical way, set best practice customer service in place from the outset in exactly the same way as you do with the product knowledge, with the technical, with the processes and systems and so on. For me, that is a two very practical ways. Review your recruitment and selection process to make sure you are actually taking on the right people to represent your brand, using those real case scenario questions that we talked about earlier, and making sure that you've got that best practice set in place through a kind of robust induction onboarding program that includes those vital skills of effective communication, visually, verbally, vocally.
And I would like to add to that as well. I think it's important that we actually recognise and reward within that as well. So once we've gone through all of that process, we've got the right person on the spot, they're doing this job, they're being mentored to be a gem. I think it's about recognising and rewarding. And if I could just share here an example of one of my clients that actually got their clients to actually be brand ambassadors. So they created a programme that, and again, people within their organisation can join the same programme, but there was a kind of a merging of clients and staff who all became brand ambassadors, and they went through this whole programme. And then recently there was a wonderful trip that they organised for a certain group of ambassadors that went above and beyond, that again were some people that come from distant offices, but some people that were also clients using the product. And they had the most amazing experience, and everybody was on this super high. And what they actually got out of it was a lot of growth, personal growth, but they also offered the opportunity to learn skills that they could then go back and use. And they had access to like social media lessons, they learned how to do reels, so they invested as well in in the growth of the ambassador, but at the same time it was going to grow their own product
Yes.
visibility, because that's what the ambassadors were doing, regardless of whether they were in-house ambassadors or external. And I thought that was a genius
Yes.
It's a win-win, isn't
merge.
it?
It's a win-win for
Yeah,
everybody.
It's a win-win.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that whole idea of looking outside of the box of where are your brand ambassadors?
Yes.
Could they be your customers?
And
Yes.
from a marketing perspective, I do quite a lot in the marketing world. User-generated content is some of the most powerful content out there.
Yeah.
You know, if you get an authentic user, genuinely enjoying using the product and can speak about it well and communicate that well,
Yeah.
sales absolutely fly, rather than an influencer who's being
Yes.
paid
Yes.
Yeah.
to sell the product.
Yeah.
Does it feel
Often,
authentic?
often backfires actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because yes, they might have a massive audience, but if they're not coming across authentically that
Yeah.
they love
Yeah.
the product,
Yeah.
you may as well not have them.
Yeah. Which is why testimonials are so important,
Yeah.
aren't they? And encouraging, actually, that's a really practical way, but encouraging our brand ambassadors when they have, they recognise themselves, they have had, ensured a great customer experience, what we call a PME in our business, a positive, memorable experience. They have ensured that for their customer or client or guest. That actually to ask for that feedback, to ask for that customer, to put that, even if it is just to send in an email, even if they don't actually have to go and do a formal review, but to actually just could you put that in writing for me so that I can, because that will make me ensure that I am doing that for other customers and clients and guests. So I think that's a very practical way as well.
So I have a second part to this particular question when it comes to practical ways to develop brand ambassadorship. If you've got people serving others in a face-to-face setting versus over the phone, or even through the written or the digital word, how might it differ?
Well, of course, for us, it differs. It will differ enormously than, for example, what Adrianne is teaching, which is all around how to maximise your visual communication. Of course, for the majority of clients that we work with, they have lost over half of their ability to influence their customers' experience because they can't see one another. And so that verbal and vocal element becomes absolutely critical, that the impact of their language, we call it developing a language of influence. You almost need to change the what you are communicating to your customer when you are engaging with them over the telephone than if you were having that exact same conversation face to face. Because of course your body language, your expression, everything would just be communicating, conveying what you were saying. When you don't have that, you need to be choosing your words so much more carefully. And a very practical way to do that, something that we do with almost every client that we work with within the kind of classic telephone environment, is take a look at what we call the dirty dozen. There are a dozen typical bog standard business words and phrases that we use in the classic call and contact centre environment. The sorry to keep you waiting, bear with me, don't hesitate to contact us if you've got any further queries, the don't worry, it shouldn't be a problem. All of that typical bog standard language that, of course, when you're face to face, that language doesn't really have much impact because, of course, what you're expressing through your body language is telling them you truly are sorry that you've kept them waiting, or you really don't want them to hesitate to get in contact with you. You might even reach out and touch them to let them know that you're available to them when they need you. And so just looking at some positive alternatives to those everyday neutral stroke negative words and phrases that are used in business, throughout, well, certainly throughout the UK. That's a really practical way, thinking about, okay, when I don't have that visual influence, or that visual communication to influence the customer's experience, how can I make more of the language that I'm using to get to a resolution or to get to the win-win with that customer? And, of course, as importantly, the how I'm communicating. All of a sudden, that vocal element of our communication becomes so much more important.
One of the ways I train the people I train is I get them to go and watch the television with no sound.
Yes.
So just watch the pictures, what do you pick up?
Yeah.
And then do the same again, same clip, but turn off the pictures and just listen to what you're hearing.
Yes.
And actually that's a really practical way anyone can develop their skills, because we often have a preferred way of communicating.
Yes.
I am all about the face and body language, but actually it's really useful for me to be able to hear the tonality.
Yes.
You know, when I was a Samaritans volunteer for quite a few years, within 10 seconds I could tell whether it was a genuine caller or not, just from their tone of voice. So there is a lot of information still there that we can pick up on if we know what we're listening for.
Definitely.
And I think in the industry out in which I'm operating in the hospitality, we've got both, because we've got people answering telephones. You know, somebody, the concierge is picking up the phone, the reception is picking up the phone, but reception is also forward facing.
Yeah, of course.
So we've got this multiple different touch points.
Yes.
Even down to the written communication as well. Is how is that coming across in terms of our ambassadors?
Yes.
And when we look at AI as well, I mean, I've often mentioned this to clients, is this, can we bring the people who want to come forward and have them as almost like virtual, hello, I'm your virtual assistant, but in a way where it's still somebody who works in the in the environment, in the spa, or whether it be in the restaurant. But if you've got staffing shortages, which we do have, and staff retention problems, how can we leverage a little bit AI at the same time of keeping that human connection by saying, this is Julie, she's a spa therapist and she's going to tell you all today about her favourite treatment. And you could be there engaging with that person.
Yes.
So I think there's again that layered approach where you need to be looking at this is, how can I make it work for my industry? Where do I need to put the biggest amount of effort in? You know, is it my leadership training? Is it, do I need to develop those brand ambassadors in a way that they need to, like you say, develop their vital skills? Or can I tap into the AI, and do I need to look at people who are answering the phone? Because if that's going to be a quicker win, and then that goes back to what you're measuring, because if you're not measuring, how can you adapt? So those feedbacks, again, you know, looking back at those feedbacks to see where is the best use of my resources today to get that next best step.
And I think, I'm not sure if I'm going to shoot myself in the foot here, but I think that actually ultimately service is service. And whatever sector we're operating in, and whether that's being done face-to-face predominantly, whether it's being done over the telephone predominantly, whether it's being done virtually or digitally through the written word, actually it is about how do we communicate for the win-win, isn't it? And it is therefore recognising, when we think about, you know, the communication model of visual, verbal, vocal, what are we doing to help our clients maximise that whole communication model in their people, in order to enhance their customer, clients, guest experience and their employees' experience at the same time. Because it's actually win-win-win, isn't it, when we focus on just helping human beings to communicate more effectively for the win-win. Because not only does the customer, client, guest win, the employee wins, and the business wins.
We need to make magic.
Absolutely, and happy employees equaling happy customers, equaling a happier and healthier, financially healthier business is definitely what Creative Magic's all about.
Exactly.
Well, there you have it. 3 amazing perspectives about developing your most valuable asset in your business in order to enhance your customers' or guests' experience, increase employee engagement, and improve operational efficiency to boost your financial success. As we always say here in FIT, it really isn't rocket science. Service excellence is all about the small things that you can say and do and be that can make a big difference to your customers and your colleagues. And it's your people, those brand ambassadors, who provide that service, so invest in them wisely. Help them to understand the massive impact that they can have as an ambassador of your brand. They can make or break a relationship with your customers or prospects, because to them, your people are your organisation. So invest in their development. Help them to help you show up and stand out, just like that purple cow in your busy field, so that you get yourselves that vital step ahead of your competition. And if you want any help with that, well, you know where these awesome ladies are. Just reach out and they'll be there. And of course, feel free to like, share, subscribe, or join our tribe. Marie's, Adrianne's and Julie's details can be found right here at the bottom of the screen. Until the next time, take care and remember to be that purple cow in your field. Bye for now.